right? But nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to stop them. You would have to stop them. Listen to this from another preaching from the pulpit.
I have been sick of this problem. I have been sick of this controversy over living wage or minimum wage. And I believe that something is seriously wrong with the heads of many of our leaders. How can anyone who earns 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, not to talk of people who earn 1 million, 2 million, how can they go to sleep in good conscience every day? How can they go to sleep in good conscience and come out to sit down in a boardroom to discuss the sustainability or otherwise of paying 60,000 to the poorest of workers? How can we go to bed and sleep, all those who belong to the elite, who earn 2, 3, 4, 500,000, 1 million? How can you go to sleep in good conscience, I say, if you still have any conscience? How can you go to sleep in good conscience and come out to be debating? I hear people on TV, I watch people on TV, experts, economic experts, corporate executives, government officials, who are taking home more than $1 million in a month. And they are there arguing that 60,000 or over will destroy the economy, is not sustainable. How wicked! You give 60,000 to a poor worker, a poor worker who may have a family of 2 or 3 or 4, for his feeding, for his accommodation, for his house rent, for his medical care, for his children's school fees. How wicked! How blind! How can we do that? And we think that God will bless our country? We think that it is by bringing a new national anthem for God to bless our country? How can you commit this crime against humanity? For me, this is a crime against humanity. Because the poor people who cannot afford to buy gari, I'm not saying they will buy that they are to buy sardine. I'm saying buy gari, poor people who cannot buy gari. I'm not talking of meat or fish. Poor people are dying because they have no money to cure malaria. How can you go to sleep in good conscience? Those of us who belong to the elite, how can we go to sleep with good conscience and we are debating and we are discussing and we vote 500 million naira to meet and debate about paying 60,000 to the poor? My dear friends, I see this as a new form of apartheid. Nigeria is one of the most unequal societies in the entire world. A society where it's like the animal farm. A society where we have conspicuously rich people, people who are living in conspicuous consumption, and others who are in deplorable, dehumanizing poverty. If you have somebody in this country that takes home 1 million naira, I mean 1 million, I'm not talking of 30 million naira, 1 million naira in the month, and he can open his mouth to be part of a discussion about the poor getting 60,000 naira. I say anyone who earns up to 1 million naira in the month should keep his or her mouth shut when he hears them debating about taking 60,000 for the poor. More than 60 years after independence, we are running an apartheid society. This time it's not racial apartheid, it's economic apartheid. We are running an apartheid society of people of conspicuous consumption, flying in private jets around at government expense, people who are riding 4, 5, 6, 7 SUVs with pilot vehicles, chasing the poor out of the road, and poor people, you are debating, you are discussing, you are over 60,000 for the poor. You insult the poor by saying 30,000, and later you say 48,000, and now you say 60,000, and you pay more than 60,000, you come out with 62,000. You insult poor Nigerians I say there is hardly any society I know that is as divided as the Nigerian society. And a society that is so divided is just sitting on a keg of gunpowder. I have warned here before that the revenge of the poor is at the corner. The revenge of the poor is at the corner. I am not calling for it, but it will happen as night follows the day. Because when you so reduce people, you reduce people to this dehumanizing level. Nature does not allow a situation of islands of affluence amidst a sea of poverty. Nature does not allow it. And let me warn those in the elite. Let me warn those in the Tripartite Committee of Government. Let me warn that it is in the course of nature that when a predator continues to devour the very resources that the predator needs for his own sustenance, nature will take out the predator in order to have equilibrium, in order to have a measure of equilibrium. Nature is about balance, you know. All of nature is about balance. And human beings are part of nature. And Nigerians are part of nature. If the predator who needs the animals in the kingdom, it needs the animals in the book to survive, if it is recklessly devouring the very animals it needs for its own survival, if it is devouring it recklessly and senselessly, nature will step in and remove the predator so that there can be balance in the system, in the ecosystem. Let me warn that all those who are in government, I hear, I have not confirmed, that there are people taking home almost 30 million naira in the month. And you have the guts and you have the temerity to sit down, and your conscience allows you to sit down to discuss about 60,000 naira for poor worker for the whole month, and you are the one that has all the opportunities of ex-Esther code and all kinds of perquisites of office. You sit down to discuss about 60,000, and that is all that the person will have in the month. You sit down to discuss this and come out and say, this is not sustainable. How is 30 million naira sustainable in that economy? How is it sustainable that the leader has 100 SUVs going with him to the airport? How is it sustainable? How is it sustainable that government leaders junket around the world? How is that sustainable? I say we are committing a crime against humanity. And if we do not repent and retrace our steps immediately, the revenge of the poor is at the corner. Do not hold me responsible, because while the devastation was on, I did not keep quiet. Do not hold me responsible, because while the madness was on, I did not sit on the fence. I kept on shouting that the revenge of the poor is at the corner unless we change our course. And if we do not change our course, we will end up where we are headed. And where we are headed is devastation, is destruction, is violent revolution.
Let be poor breathe. Don't suffocate them. We have that responsibility.
Reverend Father Omogbon, about declaring your name. It's like me. When this madness is going on, I speak out. Oh, see, oh, I am speaking. Oh, posterity judge me. Oh, so that when this shit hit the fan, you go remember my face. I say, I remember him. He's not one of them. Papa declare your name. Bear me witness. Hold me not responsible for what is going to happen to this elite in Nigeria. How could you sit so comfortably where you yourself take home over 500,000, a million naira, or 2 million naira every month? How could you sit there comfortably to discuss that 62,000 naira? Anything above that is going to crash Nigeria economy. How could you? Nigeria elites are the most dirtiest, stinkiest elites in the world. They are horrible. They are from a country that is pretty much a shithole, a contraption, lawless. But they are comfortable sharing in the bureaucracy, the politics, and every other thing that is dear to share. And the whole place looks like like a mushy, trashy, stinking shit hole. But they love to drive their latest Rolls Royce, limousine, the convoy cars, and all of that stuff, or build their mansions inside the shit hole to show their opulence. Shameless elites. Shameless. Baba was talking about the anger of the poor. He's talking about the balance of the ecosystem, while nature can take its own course. Nature taking its own course means that those who are feeding fat from the people, in a way that they have become insensitive, they have become apathy. I think apathy is like not having sympathy, not having an empathy. Anyway, Oyinbo and that, anyway, you shall get what I'm trying to say. They do not have any empathy or sympathy. They are so insensitive, so distant and entitled towards the people. They were supposed to be leading right. It's not right. One of them was on a Channel's TV. This one that you're about to watch is one of the northern elites. Is from Jigawa. He would have been a president if Goodluck Ebere Jonathan had bowed out when Obasanjo said, don't go for any second term. This guy was going to be the next anointed candidate. And Jonathan disobeyed Obasanjo. The rest is history. But this guy is a thief. He's not just a thief. When he was governor, he was a huge thief, so big that the thievery, the gene of a thieving is actually runs in the family. Is currently standing trial, okay, for stealing from the Jigawa state people when he was their governor for 8 years. His name is Sule Lamido. His own sons too, they are currently standing trial for helping their father to steal the Jigawa state money. Guess what? This was like about 8 years ago. Okay. Anyway, is the guy invited by Shehu to come and speak on this minimum wage? I want you to listen. It can be the mirror into how they actually think as well. He stole billions. They are discussing 62,000. Listen.
The question is, in Nigeria that we all want.
I said so, Shehu. I said so, I said so from the very beginning that, those of us who, when PDP came to power in 1999, and for them who have been there for 16 years through Obasanjo, Erdogan, and Jonathan, a number of mistakes were made. We became deluded by power. We made so many mistakes. Therefore, that's why we're having this kind of consequence of suffering today under APC. So, what is the, we have to go back and say, why have we gone wrong? Let's come together first with Nigeria and then...
Have you realized that, Governor Lamido? Have you realized what you have done wrong as a class of politician? Because the political elite are being blamed for the problems of Nigeria today, which you are a chief, you are a part of them.
I have been saying, so see, for instance, a party which made you a governor, dignified you and honored you. You left the party and went and joined opposition to destroy your own party. Is that something new? Is that news? It just happened in Nigeria, isn't it? So we all knew what we did wrong. If those who went to betray PDP had remained PDP, had been more patient and more tolerant and more patriotic and more caring and more concerned, there would be no APC government. So we know our failure, we know what went wrong. We know it. We're not hiding it.
No, I'm asking if you can tell us, what did you do wrong?
Sure. You mean so Lamed or the party?
No, I'm talking about your class of politicians. You said you've looked at the past and you are looking at what you have done wrong.
But then I told you that, look, Sean, don't let me, I don't want to be very, very personal, but I said, look, there are people who are honored by the party called PDP in 1999 to 2015. Who are made presidents, vice president and governors, senators and ministers. All right? Who abandoned the party and betrayed the cause of the party. Now, if those people had stayed in the party, have done what was right as leaders, because a leader should be able to be a kind of reference point. Should be somebody who should be inspiring others to follow, do the right thing. So they know people can take their own bearing from him. So we did a number of things wrong as leaders of the party, as those who are honored by the party, and that's why we're today in this kind of status. So that, we'll all come back and forgive each other for our wrong, and then and then come back and restore our trust, our unity, our understanding, and our common vision for Nigeria, and then work for Nigeria. That's what I'm saying. When you say I have to say must aim almost be,
there is a problem here.
Yeah.
If you within
it's your problem. It's your problem. It's your problem. It's your problem.
So what I'm
it's your problem, Shehu.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is there is one thing for you to forgive yourselves within your group. It's another thing for the Nigerian people to forgive your group as politicians. So the question I'm asking is, can you describe to us, Governor Lamido, tonight,
what I'm saying,
of leader?
What I'm saying? No.
Yeah, just
Shehu, Nigeria are not here at conversation. They're hearing you. They're hearing me. They hear what you're saying. They hear what I'm saying. So let them decide what we are saying, and then from there take their own direction, take their own cue. I mean, you cannot be the chief advocate of Nigeria. You can't be the chief advocate. You can't be. And you don't also get me programmed to simply answer the way you wish me to answer. I'm not a machine which you are going to manipulate. They also say so. I will not say what you want here.
So let me ask you quickly, sir.
Yes.
Can you describe for us, since you disagree with the leadership of Bola Tinubu and the APC at the moment, and you think that you are bringing up an alternative ahead of 2027, can you describe the kind of leader that Nigeria needs going forward?
Again, let me remind you, I have never from day one agreed with Tinubu. I never agreed with him. I'm not part of those who brought him into what he's doing. So therefore, asking me whether it doesn't even arrive, because from the very beginning, I know the party he was leading under Buhari and the other was not a party for Nigeria. It was a party simply for personal achievement of their own interests, which they have achieved, Buhari and Tinubu. So I was never part of them. So why are you asking me now? I was never part of Tinubu and Buhari.
No, I'm asking about your own plan and strategy. You are looking for you are working together with some of your friends and partners ahead of 2027, and you say you are working in the PDP to reform things and forgive yourselves within your
okay, fine.
So the question is that what kind of leader are you trying to put together to put forward to
try and be patient enough. We are now working very well. We are working very, very hard. Be patient. Wait for the outcome. If you ask me to anticipate, or you are trying to anticipate, it can't work. We are working it's a process which we have to manage before we get there. So don't stop not so anticipating. Just keep on praying for us and hoping that we are doing this for Nigeria. That's all.
Maybe it's going to be Sule Lamido 2027. Could it be?
Hello?
I'm saying it could simply be Sule Lamido. We may just have the answer right on the screen right there. The man looking at himself in the mirror right there, Sule Lamido. Could it be the answer for the PDP in 2027?
You see,
nuisance lele.
Shehu, they overdo sometimes or many times. His line of questions and all of that sometimes are like ridiculous. But indeed, could you smell the arrogance and the entitlement from what you could manage to hear from what he was doing for there? That is to give you the window into the art and thinking minds of these rogues in charge of Nigeria, and those who are aspiring to still want to fix it and all that. They do not take responsibility, and they will never, even when they pretend to. It's all deceit in order probably to get you hooked up on another lie, propaganda, that by the time you realize what's just happened, they've taken a lot away from you again. That is if they have not taken your life. Let's go for a short break. Just 1 minute. And if you are here with me tonight, please take a moment also, okay, to go like that broadcast. The worker says they will reject 100,000, even if they are offered 100,000. Tinubu and his gang are working on how to push the propaganda on the 62,000. Some states are offering as low as 40,000 naira. All of this They are just like the scenes still waiting to happen. And the hour is clicking. Like this broadcast, I will be back.
I don't read social media anymore. They abuse the hell out of me. If I read it, I get high blood pressure. I get angry. I don't read it. So, if I want to hear anything, my children or any of my workers will tell me, this one say this one. If I'm tired, I say, please, forget it. That transmission line is a super highway. For generated electricity and power. They could not even make a down payment for a roasted corn. That transmission. The cost of fuel has gone up. Food and other prices have followed it. Households and businesses struggling. Things seem anxious and uncertain. I understand the hardship you face. I wish there were other ways, but there's not.
Welcome back. So, one of the representative of the NLC that spoke on their national TV today said something that I want to share with you before we go to the next thing, right? Here.
The fact is this, that the federal government, including the National Assembly, are the ones who have the call. It's their call now. It is not our call. Our demand is there for them to look at and send a federal executive bill, an executive bill to the National Assembly. And now for the National Assembly to look at what we have demanded, the various facets of the law, and then come up with a National Minimum Wage Act that meets our demand. If that does not meet our demand, we have given the federal government a 1 week notice to look at the issues. And that 1 week expires tomorrow. If after tomorrow we have not seen any tangible response from the federal government, the organs of the organized labor will meet. The relevant organs will meet to decide on what next. And so it is not in my hands to tell you what we are going to do now, but it's in the hands of the organs. And these organs are made up of people from every part of Nigeria. These organs are made up of people from every religion in Nigeria. They will all meet and decide on the direction to go. But that is likely going to be dependent on what the federal government and National Assembly does in a few days' time.
So what time does it expire tomorrow? What time does it expire tomorrow? What time
it expires tomorrow by midnight tomorrow. It expires.
Okay, so what is the nature of action that we should expect from Labour? The nature of reaction that we should expect from Labour? Will you be calling a strike if the federal government refuses to shift ground from its 62,000 naira?
It was clear what we said. We said we were relaxing a nationwide indefinite strike. It's like you are putting a pause on it. And so, if you put a pause on something, and the organs that govern us as trade unions decide that we should remove that pause, if we remove that pause, it means we go back to what was in existence before. And it's also important that at this juncture that I use, because you mentioned the national grid, it's also important that I use this to also clarify that when workers embark on withdrawal of service, a strike connotes withdrawal of service. If we withdraw our service, okay, what happens is that the machines will not run themselves. The machines will stop operating. And that is what happens all over the world. Workers have withdrawn their services. So if we withdraw our services, things will not work as they were working before. And that is what we have been doing all this while. And that is why
just so we are clear, that was yesterday and he was talking about today. So, and indeed, they are waiting. So to them, it's that everybody is saying whatever they want to say. Everybody has opinion about this and all of that. The last time they were offered 105, I'm sorry, we heard the rumor of 105,000 naira, but that was quickly debunked, only for them to come back with 62,000 naira. So at this point, it actually makes sense. So the National Assembly guys, in the last 1 week, they've met, and instead of discussing how to get an acceptable minimum wage, they were discussing on how to ensure that whenever the labor calls for strikes, there are some certain government facilities or national facilities or national structures that must not be shut down. Well, does that even make any sense? Okay, I am working for the electricity generating company, or you are working for water. That one is working